Welcome back. While the recent local government elections were the most highly contested elections in democratic South Africa, for the first time, independent candidates were allowed to take part. Political parties took to the streets to try and woo voters, but ANC-aligned Sanco was not visible on the ground. What does this mean for the organization? For more on this, we're joined now by political analyst Levy Ndou. Levy, thank you so much for your time this evening. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Sanco, does it even still exist?
Good evening to you, Faith. Good evening to the viewers at home. Well, I think it depends on a number of things. You have just rightfully pointed out that Sanco has been invisible. I think generally we need to look at the programs that Sanco has in relation to its mandate of existence, and also look at the role that Sanco play in the alliance. And as you would know, Sanco has been in alliance with the ANC, COSATU, and the ACCP. And indeed, it is true that we actually see Sanco very minimally in the public space. And obviously, the question that we're posing is what might be coming to the minds of a lot of people. But I think it's also important, Faith, to look at Sanco's role in the alliance and having to balance that role with their actual reason for existence in society. But also looking at what democracy in general has to embrace. One must actually unpack this by starting it in this way. South Africa is a democratic state, and Sanco, being in alliance with the ANC, has to play a bigger role in ensuring that as a partner in the alliance, the success of the alliance should also see its positive contribution. But that should not be seen as an element of having to prevent other people, like independent candidates, from participating in the elections. What we need only to see in Sanco is to allow an environment where free activities are supposed to happen, where all citizens are supposed to participate in their political activities freely without any form of hindrance. But at the same time, you would expect Sanco as an alliance partner to play an active role in ensuring that the ANC, which is the leader of the alliance, has to be successful in the elections, and indeed, Sanco has to participate in the campaigns in ensuring the victory of the ANC.
Well, leave it to this point then, because ultimately what we found is that Sanco exists to recognize as well as to assist those that are in civic organizations, right? So it propels, encourages, enhances those civic organizations. The mere birth of the increase of the independent candidates that we've witnessed in these local government elections is because local candidates were saying, actually, we're tired of the politicians. Do you want something different? Do you want actual activism on the ground where people get to actually deliver on services? That's why you have to vote for us as independent candidates. Independent candidates were seeing themselves as removed from the politics, but rather focusing on civic duty. Sanco was supposed to meet something similarly in terms of the encouraging and the harnessing. So is that not a missed opportunity on their behalf, where they were supposed to perhaps even be the umbrella body where you'd find these independent candidates growing, now not even active at all when it comes to even their local government elections?
Well, I think that is where we need to strike a balance. With striking a balance in the following manner. You need to have Sanco that has to deal with the day-to-day challenges facing communities. You need to have Sanco that also has to play a role of being an alliance partner in ensuring the victory of the ANC. You need to see Sanco that is actively involved in the programs of the ANC. But equally, you need Sanco that should not prevent independent candidates from participating. Yeah. And I think another aspect that we also need to look at is, does Sanco has to actively participate in the political activities of a political party? Because that also has an element of contradiction within Sanco. Because Sanco has to serve all members of the communities, and members of Sanco, in my own view, should not be seen to be contesting elections because already they are in an alliance with the ANC. What one would expect from Sanco would be to ensure that they support the programs of the ANC, they ensure that the ANC has to win, but do not prevent independent candidates from participating in the elections.
Well, if we're speaking about just to interject there, we're speaking here about Sanco's expectations and what we require from them, right? But the question is, are they meeting those expectations, those roles? Are they actually fulfilling those roles?
The unfortunate part is the situation where Sanco members, or those that are in the leadership positions of Sanco, would then want to become actively involved in politics, and then they will also want to stand as independent candidates. Indeed, in most communities, you don't see Sanco being very much visible and in participating in the programs of the ANC as an alliance partner. And I think this will require the ANC and other alliance partners to have a discussion about this matter. But beyond Sanco, we also need to check the role that COSATU has actually played specifically in these elections, and the role that the SACP has actually played in this alliance. But moreover, we also need to look at the role that has been played by the leaks of the ANC. Because for me, this campaign seems to have been quite only limited to the ANC itself, and the alliance partners, including Sanco, have been silent in this regard.
Levi, we're out of time, unfortunately, but it's going to require perhaps a yes or a no answer. Does that mean Sanco, in effect, is dead wood?
Well, it depends on circumstances. But when you look at simple programs and activities surrounding the alliance, Sanco is still very much active, but unfortunately not as expected by all of us.
We'll leave it there. Political analyst Levy Ndou just giving us the latest there in terms of the tripartite alliance and the role of Sanco in that regard. They miss an opportunity when it comes to this local government election.